Hey tribe, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sitting with Nkosazana, the car lady. So we are talking about cars today. New, used cars, financing, you name it. Because it's one of the biggest purchases that people make. After a home, buying a car is one of the most expensive things that people spend their money on, isn't it?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Nkosazana.
I'm happy to be here.
How did you come about to be the car lady? I mean, I saw your stuff on TikTok and I was like, no, definitely need to talk to this person. And maybe I'm being I'm stereotyping in that normally you see men who are car salespeople, right? How did you get into it?
For me, actually, it's like I had just finished school and I was looking for a job. And funny enough, the first place where I took my CV to, they just took me, which was like Kia Hyundai, and they're like, okay, start. And I was like, okay, okay, and that was it.
Yeah.
I've never looked back. I think I love selling cars. I always say, people say to me, oh, you probably sell cars to so many men. And I'm like, wrong. I sell so many cars to a lot of women because that's my passion. My passion is educating women on finances, on buying cars, on, upgrading themselves and just finding their purpose. That's me. I'm so much into the personal development of women.
Yes, yes. And like I'm saying, it's very stereotypical to think that a salesperson would be a man. And now you're even saying you sell more cars to women than you do to men. Yes. That is incredible. But let's just talk about your own journey in terms of being a salesperson. How hard was it building up yourself? Because sales is not an easy job.
It's not.
Yeah.
I have to say it was easier when I started than now. I think a lot of people would attest that after COVID, a lot of things have changed. Cars prices have changed. The market has changed. A lot of people actually got, I don't know, should I use the word blacklisted or listed on ITC because they couldn't pay their accounts during COVID.
Yeah.
So the market has taken a major knock.
Oh, wow. All right. And what does it take for you to really, I'm assuming that you have targets that you want to meet. What does it take every single day being a salesperson? Because I used to be in a sales position and I know it takes calls, it takes really putting yourself out there. And I always say that if you want to become good at anything, become a salesperson.
Exactly.
Start there.
Exactly. For me, it's those calls. It's a lot of referrals. I always say to people, sell to the clients that you currently have as though those are your last, because they will definitely refer you. For me, I do a lot of business on referrals and also my social media now.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah. That is incredible. So what are some of the things you see? Like when I'm a woman, I'm coming into the dealership. What are some of the mistakes that right off the bat you see women making?
They just walk into a dealership. Oh my word, this car is so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, they just
the excitement.
Yes, they just go off the cuteness of the car, how small it is. Oh, it looks so cute. They go off aesthetic sometimes, and they don't really factor in the cost of ownership and what it would take to maintain the cuteness of the car. And sometimes these smaller cars are actually the ones with the bigger engines, and they cost more on fuel because they would maybe be your fast cars and whatever. Someone just looks at a car and says, oh, it's so small and cute, and they think it should be cheap.
And there's so much more that goes into purchasing a car before anything else. All right. So let's go through the process of buying a car, right? It's not a cheap exercise to get a car. So if I'm a first time buyer of a car, so let's say I've just finished university and I started my internship, or I'm working a full-time job, and I come to you and I say, I want to buy a car. Or even before I come to you, right? There's some exercises that you must do at home even before you see a salesperson. What should I be doing?
I normally say to people, the sales process starts with you. What are your needs? What do you need? Why are you buying the car? What are you going to use it for? That is what will make you make an informed decision into like which car you're going to buy. Because if I'm a mother, obviously I'm looking at boot space, I'm looking at ISOFIX, I'm looking at ISOFIX, like does it have those what's these things, man? Baby seats.
Oh yeah. These things. Literally, I have my son's one here.
The car seat.
Car
will my car seat be able to fit in properly?
Yeah. Will the pram be able to fit?
Yes, For a lady, it would be things like that. But if I'm someone staying maybe in the farms, I would look, okay, will this vehicle be okay for the road I'll be using?
Yeah.
Is it a 4x2? Is it a 4x4? So I normally say, what are your needs? Why are you buying the car? And once you are able to do your own needs analysis, you'll definitely be able to get into the dealership and buy the right car.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about finances, right? Because I can say my needs are this, but I also just desire the German car.
Let's not even talk about
I know,
desire,
I know.
because I think for every salesperson, that's the most frustrating part. People are not willing to accept their reality of where they are financially at that time. They always want something that their finances do not allow. If not, they want to force their budget into a high-end car. Someone would say, no, I only want to pay 6,000 and I want a sunroof on this, I want this one. And you're like, but ma'am, 6,000 will
Only
not
get you so
and
much.
they think you are the main salesperson or you are blocking their dreams, but really their budget at that moment is not aligning with their desire.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, like you mentioned earlier, you have to look at the cost of ownership. Exactly. Because yes, it's one thing to say, okay, there's a 6,000 rand that's going off my account, but what about insurance? What about this? What about all of these things? And how it will impact your overall finances? That's the biggest issue. Yeah. Okay, so I have know my needs. I've put aside maybe my desires, or maybe both match, depending on where you are in your finances. Mm-hmm. And I come to you, what should I be looking out for? I know maybe after this, people will say, hey, we want to go to Nkosazana because, she knows her stuff. What is that process going to be like? I know that, okay, I want this Hyundai, or what cars do you sell?
I sell VW.
Okay, I want this VW. It meets my needs. It meets my price point. What kind of experience am I going to have with you?
Okay, the first thing when you get into the dealership, obviously I would want your documents. Mm-hmm. I like to first sit with my clients before I take them to the car, because sometimes a person walks into the dealership
that
and
is
show them
so
something.
Different from my experience going to some other dealership one time. Mm-hmm. The guy showed me the cars and I was telling them, okay, my budget is this much, and he was like, baby girl, you deserve better.
No.
So for me, it's such a significant difference in how you say you do your things. You sit down with the person before
I show them the cars, because I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to show you a Golf R and then when you go and sit, you do not afford it. And I've already made you so excited about it that you don't even want to consider a Polo.
Yeah.
So I want to sit with you first, check your statements, understand your needs, check your budget, and then I will take you through the cars that I think are within your budget, so that you don't walk out there feeling like I downgraded or anything. So by the time I've seen your budget, I'm able to make you excited for the car of your budget. Basically.
So what if I don't have a budget? I come in there, a budget is like a foreign thing to me. You kind of know that, okay, this is how much I make, and you have like mental notes. Okay, I pay this, I pay rent, I pay this. But what if I come to you and I do not have a budget?
I would do, we also have an online finance calculator.
Yes.
We would go through that online and I'll just show you, okay, for this card, this is how much you'd pay. For this one, this is how much you'd pay. And then on our application form, it also has expenses where you put in your rent, food and whatever. Therefore, out of what is left that is disposable of your income, then would look into cars that are within that budget.
Okay, all right. So how important then is it for me, even before I come to you, to know my credit score?
Some people, I teach about that a lot, even on my social media. But for some people, it's still a hard thing. They feel like, I'm struggling, I'm logging in, they want this. So if you're struggling with that, I don't mind for you to come in and then we do it together. But the only way to know your score then would be for us to do the application, the pre-approval, and then get that response from the bank that says you don't qualify or
you do qualify.
And a lot of clients, they come in and they already have something. They'll say, I want prime rate, I want 11.75. But if you knew your score, you would say that, with your chest out, you
Yeah.
say, this is the rate I'm requesting because of this.
Yes.
But if you do not know your score, you don't know your credit report, you will just try and argue based off nothing. But if you already know your finances, you know your score, if you say you want prime, you say you want prime because you know.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. So it's a
my
negotiating tool, isn't it?
Exactly.
And it's very important for you to check it even before you meet with Nkosazana, for example.
Even if you are saying to me, no, my interest is high, we are able to go back to your score to say, ma'am, sir, but this is the reason, this is why your score is high. And people sometimes will say, no, dealerships are a scam. They gave me 16% interest rate, but your credit behavior has been bad.
Yeah.
That's why the bank approved you, but they categorized you as a high risk. That's why they're giving you this
high interest rate. So what if I feel like, okay, this is too high? What can I do? Should I continue with this purchase or go back and try to fix my credit score? Or normally, how do you advise people who come and they have that type of issue?
For me, I always say it depends on the needs of the client.
Yeah.
There are some people who will say, you know what, I need this car. Like for me, when I first bought my first car, it was because I got a job, and one of the requirements for the job
you need to have
was to have a car. So if I get a client like that, they'll be like, ma'am, I don't care about the interest. At this point, I need to have a car. But if it's not an emergency, I would normally just advise that this is what you can go and tweak on your account, and then let's try again in 90 days.
90 days.
Yeah,
even I like the fact that it's 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, I absolutely love that. But having your credit score, knowing your credit report is very important. Okay. Sharp. So let's say I come to you and you take me through my needs and we go through the budget. I know my credit score and I still feel like the car that I want is this. Then there's what you call a balloon payment. So this is where I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
Yeah. What is a balloon payment? Number one.
Okay.
Secondly, what are your own thoughts on balloon payment? But let's start with the first one. What is a balloon payment?
In simple terms, a balloon payment is putting away a stack and a certain percentage of the vehicle,
the value of
amount into a balloon, setting it aside, and you're going to pay it at the end of the term.
Okay.
So a balloon payment can be 10%, can be 20%, can be 30%.
It can even go to 30%.
Now it goes up to
damn.
40%, right? So let's say you are financing a vehicle that's of a value of 250.
Yeah.
You would normally pay around 5,800 on the vehicle. So if you feel like
cars are expensive though.
Yeah. If you feel like no, the 5.8 is too much, if we give you a 30% balloon, that would be around 75,000. Then your payment can now go down to around 4.7, 4.8. Okay. So basically, that's what a balloon is, and you would have that 75,000 you need to pay at the end of the term.
So if my term is 5 years, I have 75,000 waiting for me at the end of this contract.
Oh yes, I normally say to people, either a balloon payment can be a superhero or a demon, because it depends on how you're going to tackle it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got 3 options. You can either pay it up in cash, or you
as in at the end of the term, let's say it's my 5 years. My 5 years comes to an end in December. In December, there's 75,000 waiting for me. I can either pay it in cash.
Yes.
So the 75,000, I need to have cash on me.
Yes.
Or what other option is there?
You can refinance the 75,000, or maybe say, I need to pay it in a year, and then request the bank to refinance that 75,000.
So let's speak normal English. What is refinancing? What does it actually mean?
Take a loan on that.
There we go. So it's not free. It's not like I'm refinancing and it just disappears.
Yeah, and an unfortunate thing that can happen is that you can actually get declined for refinancing if your score or has went down, or if something happens and you get listed in that 5 years.
Yeah, because life happens. For me, that's one of the things that, like you're saying, with everything there's pros and cons, right? And one, I always want people to be aware of what a balloon payment is. Then the second one is how actually do you go about paying it. But also remember that sometimes life happens. I've known people who had a balloon payment and they said, no, I'll pay it. I'll start saving it a little bit so that at the end of the term, I do have the 75,000. But the term comes, now you've had 2 kids in the 5 years. Mm-hmm. Your finances have completely changed, and you find that perhaps you don't have the 75,000, now you have to refinance, meaning that you have to borrow more money from the bank. Yes. And you're saying it's a possibility that you can be declined based on your credit score. Yes. Okay, what other option do I have if I do have a balloon payment?
You can also extend the term of your contract, because now even the bank has came up with something different, that instead of taking a balloon, you take, I think it's 96 months.
Yeah, I saw that. That is insane.
Yeah, whereby there's no balloon, but you know that once you're done, you're done.
You're done.
Yeah,
okay.
Because either way, it's the 5 years, and it also depends if you're gonna refinance the balloon over a year, 2 years, or 3 years. Then it still goes back to the 96 months.
Yeah, which is quite a lot of money. Then people will argue. Then they say no, but you can just trade it in. As
yes,
if okay. So what are the implications of trading in a car when you have a balloon payment? What are the mechanisms there?
Okay, let's say you bought the car and then it's 3 years later and you feel like, no man, I need to upgrade. So the first thing we would do is to call the bank and get your settlement. You can also access your settlement on your app.
Okay.
Right? You get your settlement. Let's say you bought the car, it was 300,000, and now your settlement is 150.
Okay.
We would then have to evaluate the car that you're trading in, assess it, check if there's dents, scratches, what's the kilos on it, and then we've got what we call what's this on TransUnion. You can check the value of the car.
Okay.
It's the value of the car, what other cars are going for
in the market
of the same range. But then what would be different would be if your kilos are too high, then you don't get what is
the going rate in the market.
So, but if your car is still okay, the kilos are okay, there's not much dents and whatever, then you can get that 150 and you trade in your car and you start on a new.
But what happens to the balloon payment?
Remember, when we pull your settlement, your settlement doesn't come out in 2 portions. The settlement comes out as a total one settlement. Yes.
Okay.
So when the dealership pulls out your settlement, it comes out including that balloon. So if, let's say, your settlement is 150, we give you 150, you settle. Some people take so much good care of their cars that would say, okay, we'll give you 200.
Oh, wow.
Then someone would say, okay, settle my old loan and then use the 50,000 as a deposit
on a new one.
But sometimes if it's on a minus, we say we're giving you 140. You then have that 10,000 that we call a shortfall. Then you would have to pay cash for that 10,000 or have us loaded into
the new
contract. Yes.
So what I'm gonna ask you this question specifically because when you say loaded into the new car, there's been so many instances. I mean, Maya, I used to write for City Press with Maya, and one of the cases, someone came and said they kept on loading amounts. So they would trade in their car every 3 years, and there was an outstanding amount that would be loaded onto the next car and the next car, so that the value of what the car is, like what they're paying, is so much more. Have you ever seen something like that?
Yes, I have, especially I get people, someone would say, I bought a car in December and now we're in May. I want to trade it in. You're obviously going to have a shortfall because you have not even started paying the interest on the vehicle. That's why I always advise my clients, wait to break even. So people are too much in a hurry to trade in. Maybe a new car has come out, or my boyfriend says he doesn't like a Polo, you see? So now you like, ma'am, but you just bought the car. No, it's fine. And they have not broken even, and now they are going to have this big shortfall that would then go into the next vehicle, and it's their choice. It's not the bank saying you have to trade in. It's them saying, I want to trade in now. I know I've not broken even,
but I don't care.
I know I've only paid the car for a year, but my boyfriend wants a GTI. So we are.
Gosh, if you're a woman listening to this, do not do that. Do not be that person. I know someone who actually did the very same thing. Well, not personally, but through social media, they told me that, my partner at the time, I was driving my normal nice car, and they said, no. My baby girl needs to be in a German car like I am. And the boyfriend had said to her, I will pay for the difference. So if she was comfortable paying 6K every single month, the boyfriend said, no. If it goes to 8K, I'll finance you the 3K. When the relationship ended, now she was stuck with the car that she couldn't afford.
And the car she didn't want.
Yes.
You know, this is, I think, a predicament for a lot of salespeople. I've realized that when people come, they bring advisors to the dealership floor. And these advisors don't really have the client's best interest. They have their own interest.
Yeah.
And they would always push our clients into cars that they do not want. And in a 6 months, the client calls you and like, Sissy, can I please return the car? I don't want it. I didn't even want it from the time I took it. It's always bringing people to give you advice in things that they are not
equipped for.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is so sad. So now let's say I'm one of those people. I took the car and literally a year later I feel the pinch. I can't cope. I actually can't afford this car. What is the process of bringing a car back or downgrading even? Can I do that as a client?
You can downgrade also depending on how long you've driven the car, because the most important thing is to break even. If you have paid up your interest, then you know that when you trade in, we can give you your car's worth. But if you just financed the car 6 months ago and you want to trade in, it's not the easiest process. I always advise clients, especially first-time car buyers, guys, buy an entry-level cars. And they always feel like, no, I've just started working, I don't have accounts, I don't have a child, whatever. But they don't factor in, like, in the next year you could literally have a child. In the next year something could happen.
You want a property in that time.
Yes. They never want entry-level cars.
Or sometimes the job, because the job market with the economy that we find ourselves in, maybe there could be retrenchments at work. So you're not giving yourself enough room to grow into your career and make sure that your finances are solidified. And normally, even when you are a first-time car buyer, the interest rate they give you is normally higher because you don't have like a long credit history, isn't it?
That's true.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I have this car and I'm saying that I want to return it. Can I just come back to you? Yes, I know we're talking about you want to break even, but what is the process? Are there penalties that you pay for returning the car? What is that like?
How? Like getting the car repossessed?
No. Like I don't want the car to get repossessed. So before they do that, I'm saying, Nkosazana, I'm returning the car. Can I just?
How?
Let me return the car. You sell it for me. I don't know what is the what.
No, some people call it. They have a term of saying it's a voluntary surrender.
Yes,
but literally that's your car being repossessed, because you'll still be liable to pay for the car. Because remember, you have signed a contract for 72 months where you've said you are going to pay for the car. So whether you return it or you keep it, the contract is binding you. You have to pay for the car. It's your car.
Okay. But is it possible for me to say, the dealership, can you sell the car on my behalf, or can I go sell it so that I can settle that amount with the bank?
You can go and sell it and then settle the amount with the bank. But remember, with us, we are literally you buying the car from us, but the contract is with you
the
and the
bank. Yes.
So,
but I can come back to you and say, all right, can you try sell the car for me?
Yeah, I can try that. I can try. But literally, the contract is now between you and the bank. So you would have to make payment arrangements. And that's what I tell my clients.
Yes.
Stop being scared of your creditors, because the more you avoid them, you get into trouble. It's always better to go and make arrangements before things start crumbling down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that even goes for anything. If you find yourself like in a very financially challenging situation, don't duck and dive.
Yes.
That way you are going to get yourself in trouble much quicker than you picking up the phone call and saying, you know what, guys, I'm struggling. Can we restructure something here? It might work out to be more expensive in the long term, but just make sure that, you communicate. Yeah. Okay. What tips, just as an ending note, what tips can you give specifically women or even men, right? Because we can't assume that just because you're a man, there's car sales process. What tips can you give to people who are trying to buy a new car? What should they look out for? What should they do and what should they not do? And also, if I go to a dealership, what should be a red flag for me if I'm talking to I'm not going to say you because, you know, you mentioned that the first thing you even go through the papers and everything else. Like, if a salesperson mentions something, what should I take it as a red flag and get myself out of there very quickly? So tips
honest, like,
and
I
red flags
know
to watch
what
out.
other salespeople would say to clients.
Yeah.
I can only speak based off my own experience, but I do have people that have came to me to complain, to say, this is the deal I got, this is what happened. I saw a car online and I paid. When I went to collect the car, the dealership wasn't there. Like, for instance, I work for VW. I wouldn't just say to you, here's an account, pay for the car.
And also, you should not do that as a person.
Yeah, like some people say, no, I saw a GTI for 70,000. You know, red flags are just red flags, dude. They are red, and don't try and be delusional about it.
Yeah,
for you, it should make sense. Check, what are Golf 7s going for currently? What is a Golf 8 currently going for?
Discernment, guys.
Yes.
Discernment. Ask God for wisdom.
Like, you know, discernment is a secondary thing. Your brain, your mind to say,
I love her.
Why would a GTI be 100,000?
I love
like
her.
at Golf 8.
Yeah.
At the dealership, it's currently going for 1.1 million, and someone is selling it to me for 200,000. What is your mind before discernment? You know,
I love you.
Something should be signaling to say, no, man, this can't be.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, not even a Polo Vivo is 200,000. Why am I paying 100,000 for a Golf 8? Do these people love me that much? Like,
yeah, that's a massive red flag. And you know, I just want to go back on the balloon payment. And you were saying that, you know, you don't know what other salespeople do. What I often get, people say, I didn't know that there's this amount.
But that cannot be true, because you sign a contract, right?
Yeah.
And you sit with a finance and insurance manager who takes you through the contract every step.
Do you think normally it's just the excitement? Because I have seen people who genuinely say, I did not know. Maybe they mentioned it, but it wasn't fully explained, or I was in the excitement mode so
Sometimes
much that
it's excitement or desperation. You are you need the car so bad that at that moment you don't care what the contract states. But once you sober up and you've got the car, then only then you go through the contract and you realize that there's a balloon payment. And remember, you don't only end by signing at the dealership. We also give you a copy of your contract.
Yes.
So you can visit your contract at any time.
Is it wise for me, if I'm buying a car, to say, can I take this contract, go take a look at it overnight, maybe 2 days, then I'll come back?
Yeah, because currently what we are doing is most clients want to sign their contracts online.
On the spot?
No,
online. Okay.
So you have the contract there even before you come and fetch the car. So we send you a pin, and then it opens up your contract for you. And at that point, it's just you. So you wouldn't say the salesperson made me sign. It's you. You were there. You had the contract maybe a day before you came to the dealership. So sometimes I just always say to people, take accountability. Your finances are your own accountability. Yep. Before you sign,
you are responsible.
And as well, people should not be scared to ask questions. To say, Tuli, I don't understand. What is this? Let me explain to you. And also, when I take you through my finance and insurance manager, ask her, what is this? What does this mean? Because someone would just come and say, Tuli, the car that I bought, this and this happened. I took it to your dealership and they didn't want to fix it. And then you'll ask, but ma'am, I explained to you that the car didn't have a maintenance plan. It only had a service plan. You see, so people do not ask things like that. They do not want to, I don't know, they feel like, you know, you must ask, what is a service plan? What is a maintenance plan? What is the
difference?
You know, what is the difference?
Yes.
What does this cover? Does this have a shortfall cover? You know, you need to ask those questions.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cost of ownership. You know, we keep on mentioning there's a cost of ownership. Most of the time, we are very excited, like, oh my gosh, I got the car that I want. And I just know that, okay, I just want to pay 6,000 rand a month. Right, and I get a car for 6,000 rand. You know, that's the amount that goes off my account. But what other costs are there when now you own this thing?
Okay, for me, I would say it's insurance, it's fuel, maintaining the vehicle, right? So if you've got a maintenance plan, you know that everything is covered. Anytime you bring in the car for service and there's things that need to be changed, those things will just be changed.
But you pay for the maintenance plan as well. So it's not just the 6,000. It will involve that maintenance plan and the insurance on. So the maintenance plan will be an extra amount.
Yes.
Okay. Then there's insurance, like you're saying. Why do people complain about insurance?
I don't know. And sometimes we also have cars that come out with a maintenance plan.
Yeah.
Like your high-end cars, they do come standard with a maintenance plan. With your newer car, like your entry-level cars, they don't come out with a maintenance plan. So you always have to ask your salesperson, "Kupung edele a maintenance plan." And with insurance, some people, I would tell them that, okay, I cannot give you the car without insurance.
Yes.
Then people would say, no, I'll just take the car, and then when I get home, I'll cancel the insurance. Because they feel like, no, I've driven for 7 years. I saw a accident.
And the one time you get into the accident,
Murphy's Law.
You know, someone once, and I want to explain it to them. Someone says to me, no, but Mapalo, what if I start saving the insurance premiums myself? So if I get into an accident, then I have this amount of money. And I always say, okay, cool. Let's say you have saved 1 month's premium. In the second month, you get into an accident. What have you saved? You probably saved like 1,000 or 2,000, depending on
And that time a car is a write-off.
And you are still liable. Then at the end of the day, you're still liable to pay that car. So it's quite dangerous not to have insurance, especially if you are driving a new car that you're still paying the bank.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Any other last parting tips to people who are on the market to buy cars?
Guys, buy what you afford. You know, I always tell people that buy what you afford. Give yourself grace. You will get there. I normally say your first car doesn't have to be your dream car. Give yourself grace. You will grow and you will get to that, to that stage where you can buy your fast cars, you can buy your sports cars and all of that.
I absolutely love that advice, Nkosazana. I think it's such sound advice that you will get to grow in your career.
You will, definitely.
And also don't overburden yourself with such massive financial responsibility. Because like you're saying, there are so many things that you are still going to learn. Now you have to learn all these mistakes and lessons with this massive car that it doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And where can people get you?
At my dealership, NTT Kruger's Drop.
Yes.
VW, just opposite Key West.
All right.
Or on my
TikTok. Yes, on her TikTok. That's where I where I found her.
Yeah, Nkosazana Lady, and also on YouTube, Nkosazana Lady.
There we go. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Bye for now.